Hello, everybody, and welcome to June's Ask Me Anything session. I am very happy to be here, and I've got a few members with me live today. So the way I'm going to work it today is I've got a couple of questions that Kathleen has asked in advance, so I'm going to begin with those. Then I will see if anybody who's here live on the call has any questions for me. And then I have a final question from Kathleen, which some of you might be interested to kind of follow along with, because it's one of those questions that's kind of like a bigger, more strategic piece. And I'm just going to sort of get the ball rolling with Kathleen. And she knows this is happening, by the way. I haven't just sprung this on her, as long as we have time at the end of the call. So it might be that some of what I talk about with Kathleen might not be exactly your situation, but you might find it useful to just sort of hear the process happening with somebody else, and then you can apply it to your own situation as well. So hopefully we will have time to get round to that. So Kathleen, your first question. Okay, so both of your questions are pretty quick ones to deal with, actually, because they're to do with kind of little technical bits and bobs. So the first question was about using content that's kind of summer based, and whether you could get a photograph of you reading your book and superimpose it onto different backgrounds, or would this look a bit phony? I actually love this idea, and I especially think it's really relevant given the nature of your books, which are light-hearted and warm and funny. And there's been so many comments saying in the giveaway stuff, Kathleen, of people saying how much they enjoyed your first book, so they're really looking forward to reading your second one, which is fab. So I feel like this kind of like really crude Photoshop, you can actually play on the naffness of the design, like rather than trying to produce something that is super slick and like a deep fake or something, that you play on almost like clip art kind of vibes. I did something similar on purpose. I think it was, in fact, Judy, I think you might have been one of the people who signed up for the Reset Instagram challenge. Gosh, when was it? Was it the beginning of 2024? I think it was January 2024. I ran this challenge. Anyway, my promotional material for that was kind of similar to what you are describing. I should have pulled it up in advance. I'm actually going to just get it up, Kathleen, so I can show you. Let me see if I can find it. And so you can see just how naff it was. But I did it on purpose because I didn't want it to feel too contrived or too what's the word I'm looking for, or too serious. Like, I wanted it to feel like quite relaxed and quite fun, because I thought that went along with the vibe of what I was proposing. So I'm just going to show it to you. It's really silly. And I actually and when I made it, I was a bit nervous about it being a little bit too silly, and I put a poll up on my Instagram saying, is this too silly? Would this put you off working with me? And the consensus was no, we like it. Like, it feels like you and what we know about you. So let me share it. Let me just share it with you, and then you can see just how bad it was. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So as you can see, I used a picture of myself. Now on the pro level, is that what you call it? Pro subscription on Canva, there is a tool called Background Remover. Now, you can only do that if you pay for Canva. But Kathleen, if you don't already pay for Canva, what you could do is just do the month by month, just pay for it for 1 month, use the tool. And then, if you wanted to do like a series of posts, because you could create them in bulk, you could batch them. So if you wanted to pay for 1 month's worth of Canva, and then create those posts, create a batch of them, and then just cancel your subscription so that you're not getting charged for every month. So I just use the background remover of a picture of me, and then the cucumber slices, the turban, the bubbles, and even my phone here. are all pictures from my, are all basically like clip art elements on Canva. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop sharing, but I like this idea, Kathleen, because I do feel like it fits with your account's general vibe and the vibe of your books as well. So that would be my first answer to that question. And then your second question was, is it possible to put other people's posts on my grid without being a collaborator? I share them as stories, but it would be great to have some of them on my grid. I could screenshot them, but this wouldn't work for moving images. So the only way to get other people's posts on your grid is to ask them if they would invite you as a collaborator. Now, obviously, that's might be something that you can't ask everybody because maybe you don't know them very well. Maybe, they don't know you, and it might feel slightly weird to them to have their content on your grid. But if you have relationships with people already that are warm and existing, I'm not talking about best mates, but just relationship where you could say, oh, I love this piece of content. Could I put it on my grid? I'd love for it to find more of an audience. And I feel like my audience would really enjoy it. And I want to do more with it than just put it in my stories for 24 hours. Oh, please excuse me. My doorbell's just gone. Hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. It was some deliveries. My daughter's going on a school residential next week, and they've asked for all sorts of extra equipment that we don't have. Anyway, so moving on. As I was saying, yes, so you can ask for permission to do that. You could ask people, can you invite me as collaborator? Because then if you accept their invitation, it will show up on your grid. If you're thinking about what we talked about on the mini audit, which is more about putting together collections of posts, there you can sometimes, depending on what an account has their settings as, download other people's reels. So you can do that. I have my settings set to yes, people are allowed to download my reels. But not everybody does for obvious reasons. People don't want them being stolen and passed off as somebody else's. So you can download some accounts' reels, but obviously it's really important that you credit them if you are going to repost them. The other thing to bear in mind as well, Kathleen, is that, and I don't know how much this would affect you, to be honest, but it's just worth knowing, is that Instagram now has the functionality sort of behind the scenes to detect when a piece of content originates somewhere else compared to where it's been posted. So it will sometimes, if it detects that, suppress the reach of the sort of second poster of that. And the reason they started doing this, obviously they developed the ability to do it first and foremost, but the reason they started doing it was in order to try to mitigate the effects of these really big meme accounts where they don't create anything new. They just aggregate content from elsewhere on the internet. And then what they do is they build a following around the aggregation of content, but they don't create anything original. And they are the ones that, because they've got these big followings, they're the ones that then get the interaction and the engagement and the boosts from the algorithm when the original creator of that post might not have seen anywhere near as much reach. So the Instagram algorithms are now alive to and able to detect when a piece of content has originally been posted somewhere else. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. I don't think that if as long oh gosh, what am I trying to say? As long as not every piece of your content was curated from somewhere else, I don't think it would affect the health of your account overall, as long as you were still creating original posts. But just do bear that in mind, because it is something that Instagram now can do. Does that answer both of those questions, or is there anything, any follow-up you want to ask or clarification? You okay, Kathleen?
Yes, so there was, yeah, I guess following on from the last question. Do you remember for example, White Lotus had a clip and lots of people were sharing that. So how are they able to do that?
Yeah,